Hi everyone, welcome back. In today's video, I've collaborated with Matthew over at Matthew's Guyanese Cooking to share our versions of Parsad. Some of you might call it Parsad, Prasadam, Prasada, or Mohanbhog, but no matter the name, it's all very delicious. So Matthew's going to share the Guyanese version, I'm going to share the Trini Begonian version, and I hope you all enjoy it. My recipe may not be a traditional Trini Begonian recipe, but it's just the way I was taught. But if you all want to leave your recipes, feel free to share your version in the comments below, and everyone can learn from each other. So in light of me worrying over the flood victims in Trinidad, I decided that I just wanted to cook something just to keep my mind off of it, because I just wish I was there helping. The only thing I can do from quiet here is to just lend comforting words and just prayers and thoughts, and it just hurts to me that I can't be there helping out, but just know that I have you all in my prayers and my thoughts, and this will get better soon. So to take your mind off of what's going on, I decided that Parsad was the perfect recipe, because I haven't shared this on my channel yet and it's been 3 years. And Parsad actually means mercy or divine grace of God. So I think it's fitting to share this recipe in light of what's going on. So Parsad is actually an edible offering used in prayers or in pujas as a gift to a deity or to the divine. This is why when we prepare food and Parsad and other offerings for prayers, we're not allowed to taste it or eat it, because it's intended for God, who accepts the offerings and then turns it into spiritual substances which nourishes our body and our spiritual mind. This symbolizes grace and generosity between the divine and humanity. It's a divine spiritual connection. When preparing food or Parsad to be offered to God, our minds must be clean, genuine, and focused on love. So with a mind focused on love to my fellow Trini Begonians, I'm going to share this recipe for Parsad, and I'll leave Matthew's video link in the description box below. I'll leave it in the cards above, and I hope you all go subscribe to his channel, give the video a thumbs up, and make sure you leave him some really sweet comments below. Keep watching to see how I make the Parsad. You will need some flour. I'm using some all-purpose flour. I will leave substitutions in the description box below. Some cinnamon sticks, some whole cardamom or elaichi pods, some elaichi powder or cardamom powder, and some fresh ginger. And I'm going to grate the ginger into a nice fine paste. This is what the cardamom or elaichi seeds look like inside the pod. And this is what we ground up to make the cardamom or elaichi powder. And don't get fooled by how small it is, it packs a lot of flavor. I have some brown sugar, some evaporated milk plus some heavy cream. You can use some full cream milk, or we call it stay fresh milk back home. And lastly, I have some ghee, which is the most important ingredient, and I prefer to use the Cow Brand Ghee. There are several other brands that you can use. I think most Trini Begonians like using this brand because it's what we were taught. So our great-grandparents, our grandparents, and our parents all use this brand. So we're just sticking with tradition. So before I start, I'm just going to make my water infusion that we're going to add to make the Parsad. So to some water here, I'm just going to grate in some ginger. You can use ginger powder instead. And I'm just grating it with the skin on and everything, because this is going to get strained. So it's really just to give the water a nice gingery flavor. I prefer more ginger, so you can adjust the amount of ginger you add to your preference. I'm also adding in some cinnamon sticks and some of the fresh elaichi or cardamom pods. I'm just going to crack it so that those seeds get to infuse into the water. The flavor of the seeds, that is. And then if you want, you can use the elaichi or the cardamom powder into the Parsad mixture itself, or you can add it to the water. I prefer to add it to the Parsad mixture. So I'm just going to leave this on a medium-low heat, because I want it to simmer and stay warm and to just infuse all the flavors of the cardamom or the elaichi, the cinnamon stick, and the ginger. It's going to be a nice addition to the Parsad. So it essentially steeps on the side while we prepare everything. So the first step is to parch or to patch the flour, or just to toast it until it's nice and golden brown. So I'm going to add it to this dry pot. And using your dabbler or a clean spoon, you're going to constantly stir it. I have it on about medium-high heat, and I'm just going to keep stirring. Because my pot is fairly small, I don't have a lot of room to work with. So I'm just going to keep mixing it just so that the heat is distributed evenly. So once you see it gets a nice off-white cream color, and you'll get a nice nutty toasty scent, so that's when you'll know it's ready. I'm not sure if the camera is picking up the color, but it has that nice off-white color, so that's what you're looking for. I would say it went for about 5 to 8 minutes, and I constantly stirred it just so that it browned evenly. So what you can do is do this the night before you make your parsad, especially if you're having a prayers or a puja. You can do it the night before, or you can do it right before you make your parsad. I just find that doing it the night before is easier. So what my mom does is she makes 5 pounds of flour when she makes her parsad for Diwali. So the night before Diwali, she parches those 5 pounds of flour, and she just places it right back into that 5-pound bag, and she lets it sit overnight until the next day for Diwali when she's ready to make her parsad. So to get the parsad started, you're going to add your ghee to your pot, and it's always hard like this or sleeping most of the time, and so you just want to get that melted. And remember, you can use different brands, you can use vegan options. And all the exact measurements I have here, and for a larger amount, I will leave them in the description box below for you. And when my mom's making a huge amount of parsad, she just takes the entire can of ghee and she sets it inside the dry pot with the heat on so that it melts completely, and it just helps out a little bit to get the ghee out. So once the ghee is completely melted, I'm gonna add my parched flour. I'm just gonna sift it in, because when you parch it, it tends to get a little lumpy. So you'll notice whatever color you parch your flour to is the color the parsad is going to end up. So the more you parch and the browner it is the browner the parsad will end up. So that's just a point to note. So once the ghee and the parched flour are mixed in completely, all you want to do now is add in your sugar, your water, and your milk. The 2 types of milk. So I'm using the evaporated milk as well as some heavy cream. You can use a combination of milk, so you can use heavy cream, you can use whole milk, or we call it stay fresh milk back home. You can use some condensed milk. I know some people add condensed milk to their parsad. So there are variations. You can add almond milk, coconut milk. So I'm going in with the Elaichi or the cardamom powder. I'm adding the sugar on top. I'm just gonna mix it in, and then you add the milk, the 2 types of milk. And you want to keep stirring because it's gonna bubble up. Now you want to add your water that's been simmering on the side with the cinnamon, the cardamom, and the ginger. And you're just going to stir that well. Jack scales.
Bagi
sulang well. Check the technique now. The raisins, cinnamon, ginger. So you'll see that the amount of flour you started with, it's going to yield a lot more parsad. So you're just going to keep stirring until it's completely cooked. And if you need to add more sugar or more milk, it's up to you. I'm going to leave the correct measurements below because I know when you're doing prayers, you can't taste or anything. So I'll leave the correct measurements so that you'll get a good tasting parsad. So maybe you can try out the recipe before Diwali or before your prayers, and then taste it, and then you can adjust the recipe accordingly. So this looks good now. I'm gonna turn it off and I'll show you what it looks like. So I hope the video was educational and informative. Make sure you go check out Matthew's video. And I was gonna say happy Diwali or Shubh Diwali to everyone watching, but how can I have a happy Diwali knowing that my brothers and sisters back home in Trinidad and Tobago, they're not even gonna have a Diwali this year. So my suggestion to you is to probably work with one family and try to help them out for Diwali. Maybe invite them over, or you can go over to their house, take some food and some sweets and some parsad, and I think they'll really appreciate that. So that's just coming from me to you. If I was back home in Trinidad and Tobago, I would probably invite a few families over to my house and let them have the best Diwali they've ever had in their life. Because it's not easy losing every single thing you have. It's not about being materialistic, but it's about just losing everything in just the blink of an eye. It was just so unexpected, and we won't know what it feels like until we are in that position. So think about that this Diwali. So if you are fortunate to celebrate Diwali this year, please help out a family. I think they'll really appreciate it. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, bye.